Well, good morning. Today I'd like to speak a little bit about our famous or infamous, depending on your point of view, Federal Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan. Because someone just told me a story about a commencement address he delivered recently, and then I looked it up to verify it, and lo and behold, it was true. But boy, pardon me for saying, Mr. Duncan, but I think you're kind of a hypocrite. Mr. Duncan spoke at North Carolina Central University's 125th commencement ceremony in May. And he didn't speak about education, he didn't speak about Common Core, he didn't speak about any of that stuff. Instead, he really nailed a point that I actually have to agree with Mr. Duncan. He spoke about the importance of empathy. And I gotta say, it might be the first time I can say, Secretary Duncan, I'm on the same page. I think empathy is a hugely important trait, not only in the adult world, but in the child world, and it has its place in education and how we approach these kids, and part of what we need to teach them in order to make our communities and our states and our country, everything better. Empathy is key. But here's the problem, Arne. When I talk about empathy, I think I really walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And most of the parents I'm affiliated with in this movement that are kind of against your educational policies, which are some of the most unempathetic policies, coming from a very unempathetic position, in my opinion, they have empathy. And they're out there, and they understand how each other feels, and they understand how people feel. So I got to say, I'm going to tell you the definition of empathy, Arne, because I think you must have read one of those screwball dictionaries that gave you the wrong definition. Empathy is defined as understanding another person's condition from their perspective. You're truly able to put yourself into their shoes and understand what they're feeling. And if you can truly do that, you see things from their perspective, and then you're like, oh, now I get it, and then really communication can happen, and it doesn't become combative. You, on the other hand, have conducted yourself in a most unempathetic manner toward public education, toward parents, towards teachers, but most importantly, our children. And I got to tell you, Arne, that's not good. So let's see. You ran through your Common Core thing, and people that voted against the Common Core, or didn't, volunteer for it, you withheld funding. I don't think that was understanding their position at all, Arne. I don't think that was conducting yourself in an empathetic manner. Parents spoke out about it, and you got your famous soccer mom quote, all those suburban soccer moms are just upset because their kids aren't as smart as they thought they were. Yeah, Arne, that was a great way to walk the walk there, buddy. No empathy in that statement, I don't think. Recently with the opt-out movement, you come through again with more threats and more intimidation, telling, well, if states can't handle it and get this thing under control and make these people take these tests, then the federal government's going to have to step in. Way to really go out on a limb and try to understand the perspective of other people. I got news for you, Arne. The math assessment, when the numbers are in New York State, ELA already broke 200,000. You can have over 250,000 students whose parents had them refuse to take the New York State assessment test, which is part of, your Common Core and evaluations and all that crap. Maybe you ought to really start listening and understanding and back off just a little bit. I'm just saying. So I just don't understand how you say empathy is so important, but then you don't practice it yourself. And your big claim about how your Common Core, all this stuff is gonna raise the people up and the poor districts and this, that, and the other. No, it's not. And that's the one that really bothers me. You're trying to play that card when you're not really addressing the issue. And the issue is poverty in America. People like to toss out these PISA scores. We're getting beaten only by people whose poverty rate is much lower than ours. As a matter of fact, if you compare a segment of our population that maybe is in 10% poverty compared to another country in the world who's maybe 10% poverty, we shoot to the top when you're comparing apples to apples. So that's what really bothers me. Now you're using the children that come from poverty as a weapon. And again, I don't see how you're being empathetic at all, because truly you're not addressing the issue in this country. As a matter of fact, what's happening more and more, and this is going to happen also as a result of your education policies, 10 years down the road, that income gap is going to be like this. And you're going to have a couple little haves up here and a lot more have-nots. You're not showing any empathy at all toward anybody, except maybe your financial backers and the people that have really dumped a bunch of money into this, the Gates and the Broads and all these other people. You only want to hear people who have your idea and your point of view. You're not having any empathy at all for the other side. And I got news for you. The other side, people like me who are against your policies right now and the way you forced these things down people's throats, we are the ones who have the empathy for our communities, for public education, for all the kids, not just our own. So maybe you want to start listening to the people I hang out with, and maybe you'll truly learn a little bit about empathy. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, Arne, but I don't know, man. I don't know where you're coming from with this. So it's hard for me to empathize with you. But here I am on Facebook. It's easy to find me. I'm sure you can get my phone number. It's John Sheffield. Give me a call. Let me know where you're coming from. Because I don't know where you're coming from, man. So it's hard to have empathy and understanding for you right now. Have a great day.